of some of those magnificent Brazilian teams over the course of the last few decades. Junior there, always a threat. He scored in both games so far. The Real Madrid man is the star man in this Brazilian side. From the party in Boston to the beach in Miami, the Scotland supporters have been on some journey and they don't want it to end yet. 42-year-old Cesar Arturo Ramos takes charge of proceedings. He's a veteran of these nowadays. This is his third tournament and ninth World Cup finals match all told for the Mexican. And heading up the VAR team today is Norway's Espanescas. He was in the middle of it all here the other night as Cape Verde thrilled everyone yet again with that draw against Uruguay. Guillermo Pacheco also in the VAR room. Scott McKenna then comes into the side for his tournament debut after recovering from an injury that kept him out of the first two. McLean, Gannon, Doak and Shankland all get the call, with Hanley, Christie, Tierney and Adams dropping out. Cap 97 for Robertson, 89 for McGinn, a 73rd for McTominay. And it has all led to this. But it looks like a good balanced lineup. Barcelona's Rafinha misses out with a hamstring injury, so his place goes to Bournemouth teenager Ryan, having scored his first international goal in a friendly win over Panama before the tournament. Came on for the former Leeds man against Haiti last time out. Apart from that, it's the same side. Casemiro plays despite speculation in Brazil that he would be dropped. He's alongside Newcastle skipper Bruno Guimaraes and former West Ham man Lucas Paquetá. Matheus Cunha is once again chosen to lead the line and looking to add to the 2 goals he scored against the Haitians. And how often Scott McTominay's been the talisman for this side, as that man will attempt to be for his team. Ancelotti, who was assistant to Arrigo Sacchi in the Rose Bowl that night when Baggio skied the penalty and the Brazilians lifted the trophy. It is Scotland, it is Brazil, it is the World Cup, and it's Judgment Night, potentially. An 11th meeting between these two and a 5th at a World Cup finals. Steve Clarke's men arrive as underdogs, but they arrive not as spectators. A first ever win over Brazil would send out all kinds of shockwaves. 90 minutes separate them from a place in the World Cup knockouts. 90 minutes from a result that could go down as their biggest. 90 minutes from the greatest night in Scottish international football history. 90 minutes, James McFadden, from immortality.
Yeah, and what a big 90 minutes it is. No better team to go and try and do it against Brazil. Best side, best country ever at the World Cup. Makes it a little bit tougher, but Scotland have got the chance to become legends tonight. If they aren't already, might be in the first team to advance from the knockouts.
Lewis Ferguson trying to lay down an early marker there, and Paquetá felt that. One back, McTominay, there's McLean and McGinn. Going to start a whole lot better than they did against Morocco last time out. McGinn holding off Casemiro. Ferguson and Robertson on the quality he possesses. It was away by Marquinhos. Well, he has to let play continue here, but then eventually he has to stop it because Ferguson's down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he hasn't stopped it. It's right in front of him. Clearly a head knock.
Ryan in there with a challenge. He's the first teenager to start a World Cup match for Brazil since 1970. There's yet more footballing royalty. David Beckham's home to him nowadays, Miami. It's Patterson forward, Shanklin's head iron. And goes to Guimarães. And Ryan. Here's Paquetá. Brazil looking to flex their muscles for the first time. This is Junior. He's not going to get back onto that. Was the backheel attempt by Paquetá. How cool was that from Hendry?
No, it's brilliant early signs because there were a couple of opportunities to maybe clear that ball up the pitch and try and get it away from round about the Scotland box, but the composure showed by everyone there, highlighted by Jack Hendry. Again, looked like he was putting a bit of trouble. Maybe the clearance was a better option. That shows you that they're ready for this game. You could tell by the lineup that's been picked that it's going to be one to try and have elements of control in this game, and that's a great early start to show that composure there.
Settled well. I guess if they offer that attacking threat, it could perhaps surprise the Brazilians, who we were expecting it to be a pretty conservative performance from Scotland this evening. Here's Lewis Ferguson, who's been such an important player for the Scotland team recently. A real breakthrough in the qualifiers for this competition.
He's been outstanding, Lewis Ferguson. Just spotting the danger, covering across, covering obviously a lot of ground as well, but it's so important, and a lot of the time goes under the radar, unnoticed.
It's a mistake though, and Brazil are onto it. An early ball in, it's a easy take for Gunn. As that came in from Guimarães. It'll do no harm for Gunn to get a feel of the ball like that.
Yeah, especially a nice comfortable one like that. I mean, he's had a touch of the ball at his feet. And Andy Robertson, that is slack from him, but reaction's excellent to get back at speed.
Brazil effectively already through on 4 points. And draw with Morocco and New York, New Jersey, followed by a comfortable win over Haiti. Here's Arsenal's Gabriel, still recovering from that Champions League penalty shootout miss. Marquinhos and PSG took full advantage of it, though. You'll remember the images of Marquinhos going straight to his international colleague to console him. And pictures that were beamed around the world. Formed a partnership at international level in recent years. Danilo Luiz of Flamengo, one of the more experienced players in the Brazil squad. And Casemiro, who's just left Manchester United after 4 years. Douglas Santos gets it back. And Paquetá. And here's Junior. To Casemiro, he's going to have a go here. And you blocked by McLean. First feel of the ball for Gannon Doak, who is the one in the Scotland team who can unlock things if they get him into the right areas.
Yeah, he's the one that's direct, wants to get forward, and you don't mind that. He's actually just playing his way in there by keeping it simple. And this is, I mean, it's not a high tempo game. Both sides have had, moments where it's knocking it about across the pitch and nice and, slow. Oh my God.
Well, that's a mistake, and Vinny Jr.'s in, and he will roll Brazil in front. The five-time winners lead. It's an absolute nightmare at the back. The goal Scotland dreaded, and a savage blow to their hopes of history. And a gift for Vinicius Jr. And McKenna knows it.
We're just speaking about, keeping the ball and trying to build your way in, and it is an absolute gift. Scott McKenna back in the starting lineup after missing the first two games, and they don't need any encouragement. They're good enough. Scott McKenna needs to just play it there to Andy Robertson. That heavy touch there is enough to give it to Vinicius Jr. Once it comes inside, it's gone. He needs to play it as soon as he gets it, opens his body up. Andy Robertson's in position, he's looking for it.
Scotland behind to yet another early goal. It wasn't quite as early as the one the Moroccans scored the other night through Saibari. And that was an error as well. Even Ancelotti was surprised it presented itself at the feet of Vinicius Jr. The talisman for this team. And Scotland try and find an immediate riposte here, but they're not doing themselves any favours with these mistakes in the infancy of these games.
No, another defensive error. And Brazil are good enough. They don't need gifts, but if you give them one, they'll take it. The most important part here now is to not lose composure, to not let the game run away from, because again, encouragement for Brazil is the last thing they need, last thing Scotland need, and they will continue to take up those gifts. So get back on the ball, knock the ball about, make some passes, build it forward, make sure you hit back.
Well, as was the case last Friday, Steve Clarke will have worked on a plan which would have involved a scenario where they did go behind. And all the hard work of getting to the World Cup, if they end up going out because of these errors, then it's going to be tough to recover from that.
Yeah, that's just a slack one in possession for McKenna. The one against Morocco, it's not, doing the basics, and it's just momentary lapse. And Brazil haven't even got started yet, and they'll go up. The Morocco one, you can at least applaud the pass, the run, the touch, the finish.
find a way back into the game against one of the most storied sides in all of international football.
And the no shots thing is a territorial thing. You've got to be at that end of the pitch to get shots. So we must be ambitious to get up to the halfway line, to keep possession over the halfway line, and to get to the byline, to get Gannon-Doak to the byline, to get Robertson to the byline in order to create chances.
Out on the right for Brazil is Danilo, popping it back to Casemiro. First time lofted cross, and that's going to sail away over the top of Gunn, who knew where it was going. Trickles harmlessly behind for a goal kick to Scotland in front of the Tartan Army, who remain on their feet in their thousands behind the goal. I can see saltires all across the stadium, the blue and white flag of Scotland, but the vast majority of the 60,000 here are here to support Brazil, and they are happy because Brazil, as it stands, will win the group. Morocco will finish second, and Scotland will hope that 3 points is enough as one of the best third-place teams. We've had 15 minutes, Scotland 0, Brazil 1, and Mark McGee, you and I have talked about how this tournament, every game is a game of 4 quarters. Scotland's next mission to get to the end of the first quarter, only 1-0 down.
Yeah, although I think that they want to and very much get on with it. I think that they will know they started well, and at that break, that's what Steve will be saying to them. Look, we started okay, we're doing okay, keep our discipline, we've got a long way to go, even at this, it's okay. So, you know, keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I'm loving the way McTominay is sort of hunting in front there, in front of their back 4. You know, he's restless, he's moving around, he's making himself available, he's running beyond it when he can. If the ball goes wide, he's looking to go in the box. We've got to capitalise on him. We've got to get the ball wide, we've got to get it into the box, and we've got to allow him to make his runs.
And they've got to time these well with the conditions in mind, Scotland too, because it is very humid here tonight in Miami. Temperatures just before kick-off were not far off 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a different level of heat compared to what the Scotland players have been through so far.
And Joe, you know, one of the things that we've done by conceding this, you know, needless goal is that we've given Brazil an advantage energy-wise, because they can take their time now, they can pass the ball around, they're not anxious to sort of get another goal, they'll work another goal eventually, they think, you know, so we've made that easy for them, we've taken the pressure energy-wise off of them.
Scotland have only got themselves to blame. 1-0 down as Steve Clarke patrols the touchline down below us. Carlo Ancelotti immaculately dressed as ever, dark suit, waistcoat and tie. How he's wearing a suit and a waistcoat in these conditions, I'm not sure, but he always does things the Don Carlo way.
Yeah, ice cool, that's why.
He certainly is. 1-0 to Brazil. And the noise from the Brazilian supporters suddenly cranks up. Marquinhos in the centre circle. What is for certain is that Scotland can't afford to concede again here live on Talk Sport. Already 1-0 down. Just fighting in these games at the moment, Scotland. You don't give yourself a chance if you make mistakes like McKennedy. Cunha, good feet. Away from John McGinn. Playing out on the left, McGinn. On the right wing position, Danilo crosses, and it skims off a Scotland head. Kenny McLean got the touch. Ricochets all the way back to the left-hand side. Vinicius Junior with the fleet of foot, sliding in his Patterson into Brazil corner.
Yeah, but I'd like to have seen John McGinn win that tackle in the middle. You know, I spoke about it before the game, about falling out with them. There's an opportunity. I'm not saying he needs to be fouling anybody or he needs to do anything wrong, but he needs to commit. He needs to go and win that tackle, set the tone. Instead of that, you know, he went I felt he went a little bit half-hearted.
Newcastle United's Bruno Guimaraes is going to come across and take the corner. The referee is seeing something he doesn't like inside the penalty area. A word for Gabriel, who is a part of the set-piece specialist crew at Arsenal, as we know, standing right on the heels here of goalkeeper Angus Gunn. 1-0 Brazil lead. Guimaraes with the corner into the near post, headed away amid a flurry of bodies. It'll bounce down to the edge of the box, hooked back in by Paquetá. Jumping is Gabriel, he doesn't reach it. Now Scotland can maybe break. Nudged forward by Robertson up to the halfway line. Scotland have got it with McGinn, although he's a long way from goal. Early ball down the left to Gannon-Doak, and Gannon-Doak has to check back into his own half and finds Scott McTominay. Scotland actually quite steady in possession for the most part. Just that one mistake aside, McTominay loses the midfield battle to Cunha of all people, and now it's a 2 against 1. Raiding down the right is Vinicius Junior, bearing down into the penalty area, tries a shot, and it's wide. Hit that with the outside of his foot, did Vinny Junior, and he wasn't too far away from making it 2 for him and 2 for Brazil.
Well, you know, we expect all the brilliance, from Cunha and from Vinicius Junior and the others, but we don't expect us to be losing 50-50s and to be robbed of the ball physically, and sometimes we forget that these guys in Brazil are not just good footballers. They are fit, they are strong, they will compete, they are winners, so we have to liven up a little bit. McTominay was taunting the ball there. He's got to be aware that they're going to get back at him because, these are good players and they have all the assets of being a good player.
Scotland's only World Cup win when conceding first back in 1978, that famous 3-2 victory over the Dutch, and that Archie Gemmill moment. Scotland really need a moment like that here tonight, though defeat could well still be enough for them. We would find out over the coming days whether their tally of 3 points, and as it stands a -1 goal difference, would be enough to take them through. Most of the statisticians say that yes, 3 points and a -1 goal difference should be enough, but they won't look too far ahead. Steve Clarke won't be looking any further than what's happening down on the field at the moment, this lush green surface that has seen quite a lot of water in the last 24 hours. We had thunderstorms in this part of Miami yesterday, and there are rather grey, murky clouds still looming overhead. Brazil lead by a 1-0, nearly halfway through the first half. Vinicius Junior wriggles away from Ferguson, rolls the ball out wide left. The fleet-footed Rayan whips the ball into the penalty area, and it's cleared away on the half volley by Hendry. Low centre of gravity, Vinicius Junior, such a skilled dribbler, wizard of the dribble for Brazil, and he very nearly carved out a chance for Ryan, whose cross actually was a bit disappointing, the Bournemouth man. Vinny Junior again, scorer for Brazil, the number 7 blocked off by Ferguson, and the deflection enables the ball to bounce through to Angus Gunn, the Scotland number 1.
And now an opportunity to reshape, which they've done, and they've been patient, and I don't mind that. There's no urgency. We can get a goal, but we don't have to get it right away. Build ourselves back.
Oh, and they've given it away again. Vinicius Junior, it's 2. It's another Scotland nightmare. This time it's the other centre-half, Jack Hendry. Vinicius Junior is on a hat-trick, but I tell you what, he's been teed up twice by Scotland defenders. Scotland assists 2, Brazil goals 2, and this is turning into a harrowing evening in Miami for the Tartan Army. Scotland 0, Brazil 2, and I'm sorry, but Scotland only have themselves to blame.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. I really can't. I feel sick, actually. I feel sorry for the 2 boys that have made these mistakes, but for goodness sake, they play at a great level. What is going on? What is going on in their heads? I've got nothing I can say that gives it any, and he almost gets himself sent off because he almost brings them down. My goodness, that is, what is Steve Clarke thinking? He's down there, he's made all the plans, he's given them all the plans, he's worked with them, he's set them out, and he's undone by 2 goals like this. A manager can't do anything about that.
This is not on the manager, this is on the Scotland players. 2 centre-halves who should know better, who absolutely have to know better. And Scotland, if they give goals like this, then you have to say they don't really deserve to qualify, although the goal is being checked by VAR. You can only assume that it is for a possible foul by the attacking player, in this case Vinicius Junior.
I'm not sure. I think you might be looking at, what the centre-half done by attacking player. Okay, fair enough.
Vinicius Junior on Hendry. Now, is there contact?
Right,
Does he get the ball? Are Scotland going to get a reprieve here, Mark McGee?
That looks good for us. I don't mind that at all. I think that looks as if it just could be. I would be surprised if that's not turned around and we're back to 1-0, which, you know, would be a huge relief, of course, and bring us back into the game. Maybe that's the break we've been wanting. Maybe that's the break we've deserved. But
he's checked the monitor, the referee, and we should be able to hear from the referee, Cesar Ramos.
Cancel the goal is final decision.
And so Scotland get away with it. No goal. It stays just 1-0 to Brazil, and Jack Hendry is a delighted and relieved young man. Roar from the Tartan Army, boos from the Brazil supporters, but it was a foul by Vinicius Junior, and Scotland escape.
Well, talk about a roller coaster of emotion. I mean, for goodness sake, what are they doing to us? You know, but brilliant. I'm absolutely thrilled that they're back in it, and let's therefore take advantage of it and go and do something about it.
And now we end an extraordinary first quarter of the game as the players come across the near side for the hydration break with the score: Scotland 0, Brazil 1. Let's go pitch side to Shabana Hearn, right in front of the Tartan Army, who are dancing with delight. Shabana.
Oh my word, what are they doing to us? What on earth is going on? Sure enough, I mean, it was right in front of me. I didn't see the foul on Jack Hendry, but he did turn around instantly to the referee and go, "Ref, as if I've been fouled there." Luckily it has been checked. Luckily that's been overturned. A moment now to just get our heads together and calm the hell down. Just relax. We've got good players. We cannot plan for individual errors. They've had them now. Now it's time to get back to business. Oh.
Well, the bagpipes are being played high up in the stands. There's a podium area where Scotland fans in kilts are playing bagpipes at the moment and banging on the drums. What a relief for Steve Clarke, and there is still a platform, still a foothold here, Mark McGee.
Joe, can you imagine how Steve's feeling?
Oh,
oh my goodness, you know,
who'd be a manager?
You know, he's exactly, that's why I'm up here. You know, he must have been thinking, oh, we're down and out, and what's going to come is only going to get worse. But now we're back in it. Now we've got the thoughts he was having when it went 1-0 down, and we started to regroup and started to rebuild and started to play again. So let's do that. Let's regroup. Let's start getting Gannon Doak on the ball. Let's start getting the ball out to Andy Robertson, and let's start getting McTominay making those runs into the box.
Well, what we know is that every goal makes a difference in the context of where Scotland are in the third place rankings. Because you concede again, and potentially Scotland drop further down that table. As it stands, they are 4th out of 12, and Scotland fans will be refreshing their third place table as often as they possibly can, the way that this game is going. They are 1-0 down to Brazil. Elsewhere in Group C, it remains Morocco 0, Haiti 1. That is live on TalkSport 2 right now. So Brazil will win the group, Morocco will finish second, and Scotland, you had already sewn up at least third place. Lots more live football too coming your way here on the TalkSport network between now and the end of tomorrow. South Korea against South Africa, Czech Republic against Mexico, both games off and underway at 2 a.m. And then at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Ecuador against Germany and Curacao against the Ivory Coast in Group E. Instructions: water, ice on the back of necks for the Scotland players at the hydration break. I wonder what the message was for the players, Mark.
Well, I think, first of all, I think we've got to do better getting the ball into Shankland. We've got to give him a chance. You know, I've said a couple of times, get it down in your chest, but actually it was probably more like his neck he was having to try and bring it down. So I'd like to see us trying to get balls into Shankland's feet. Shankland to keep it in for us to build off of that, to get it into the wide areas from there, to get these crosses that maybe McGinn and McTominay and the likes can score from.
Interesting watching Andy Robertson speaking to Jack Hendry during that hydration break as well. Scotland have the ball, left wing position, now they don't. It's nudged away from Robertson by Rayan at the expense of a Scotland corner. And Hendry and McKenna both forward. Scotland 0, Brazil 1. we've had 28 minutes on TalkSport.
Well, now they both have an opportunity to make up to the rest of us sitting up here, you know, sweating it out. Let's see one of them getting the end of it. We need a quality delivery and the work that they do in the training ground to be capitalised on, and for one of them to get on the end of it.
Shankland standing right on the toes of Allison, the goalkeeper. Plenty forward in Scotland, dark blue. In comes the corner, in towards the near post, flicked on by Kenny McLean, but headed away at the back post by Gabriel. Now John McGinn, right wing position, lovely cross, headed down. Scotland can't get to the second ball, and it's hammered away by Paquetá. Excellent play from Scotland, once again though just lacking the finishing touch.
I mean, they headed it down. I don't know why they don't just head it in the net. It looks, unless it came slightly behind them, it looked as if there was an opportunity there to head towards goal. He didn't know it was coming. It went over the top of the player in front of him, and it took him by surprise.
Much better though from the Scots, who ironically have had more of the ball so far over the course of the game, but yet to test Allison whatsoever in the Brazil goal. No attempts on goal for Scotland yet. Patterson, the fullback, midway inside Brazil territory. Back now to Ferguson, and here is Hendry with the white boots on. Square ball to McKenna. McKenna's error leading to Vinicius Junior's tap-in for the only goal of the game so far. The final game for these two in Group C. Header away, flying header by Danilo, out of play on the far side.
If we're going to switch the ball through the back four or through the midfield across the pitch, we've got to move the ball quicker. If you move it as slowly as we moved it that last time, they've got plenty of time to get across and to shut off Andy Robertson. So the ball has to move much, much quicker to get there, to give him the 10 yards he needs either to go forward or to create a space for a cross.
Well, I have to say, Brazil have hardly looked vintage Brazil so far.
Well, go back to the Morocco game, you know, discount the goal that we gifted them, discount this goal that we were gifted, and we're probably quite satisfied.
Forward comes Hendry for Scotland, midway inside his own half the field. Safety first, surely here, Jack Hendry. Little 1-2 between him and Ferguson. And now Patterson on the halfway line on the near side.
Yeah, again, I think we've got to be looking for routes into Shankland. We've got to be looking for him early. You know, Shankland's looking at making that little run in behind there.
Good touch, Kenny McLean. John McGinn, 25 yards out. Andy Robertson down the left, whips in the cross, and it's deflected behind off Danilo. It's another Scotland corner. Easily the best spell of the game for the Tartan Army so far, trailing as they do by a goal to nil.
Yeah, I think that Lawrence Shankland has to come short more often. Even if he ends up coming a away shot, he keeps possession, he starts the build-up, and people can get in behind him as well. Already seen McTominay make that run. So I think that Shankland has to get the ball into his feet, regardless of where it is inside this half. He's got to dictate it a little bit.
It's a corner at the Brazil end of the stadium, away to the right-hand side, though I can see pockets of Scotland supporters. Ferguson will take the corner. They flooded the 6-yard box with dark blue shirts here, have Scotland. Corner in towards the near post, and McLean again. Again, it's headed away. And Brazil win the second ball through Casemiro, but it's come out to McGinn. McGinn in the right wing position, all left foot, looking to whip the ball into the penalty area. He chips it into the path of the on-rushing Patterson. Patterson is blocked off by Paquetá, doing his defending rather diligently. Then he goes down looking for a free kick under pressure from Patterson, right by the corner flag. A very elegant turn by Paquetá. Not a good ball away though. Long-range effort from Ferguson. Takes a big deflection off Danilo. It's a third corner for Scotland.
Well, you know, if we've not given away that goal, we're delighted with how they're doing. The pressure they're putting on. We've now had, what, 4 corners? You know, and they've been good corners. They've created a bit of chaos in the Brazil defence. They've been too long eventually. They've been flicked on, but we've regained possession out of them. We've got to try and keep this pressure on, and we will make a breakthrough.
Minus the goal, you'd say Scotland have arguably been the better team. Brazil have brought everybody back to defend this corner again. The initial 2 have got into the near post from Ferguson. 2 arms up into the air. Right-footed and in-swinging. Is he going to do the same? Ferguson delivers in high. Header away by Marquinhos, and the referee spotted a foul as the ball dropped out to Garandok somewhat invitingly. It's a free kick to Brazil.
Well, of course, sometimes we feel as if it's a bit of a cop-out of the referee, and it certainly wasn't a free kick against us. If anything, he was being held.
That's the voice of the former Scotland assistant manager, Mark McGee, with us in the commentary position. We had David Moyes with us earlier on, current Everton manager, of course. Here is Kenny McLean for Scotland, out to the left, and Andy Robertson, the skipper. This is a really good spell for Scotland. And Brazil look a little leggy, and not with a plentiful amount of ideas in possession when they do get it. Gannon Doak raining down the right, good low ball in, only half away. Luckily for Brazil, it drops to Guimarães, who smuggles it out towards their left-back position, but I thought straight out of play, but there must have been a touch from Gannon Doak and a throw to Brazil.
Gannon Doak done brilliantly there, but the other night we saw him just float one into that sort of inviting area. That one a bit low, wasn't a good cross, it was blocked at the near post. He needs to get a little bit more on it.
Foul by Ferguson on the retreating Vinicius Junior, who, if you include tonight, has now scored 12 international goals. Not prolific at international level, 12 in 52 caps. There's a certain Neymar waiting on the bench should Brazil need him. I wonder. 10.5 minutes of the first half to go. In large part, actually an encouraging half of football for Scotland, but they are 1-0 down.
I think it's probably played out the way Steve hoped. You know, that they've kept it, you know, fairly tight at the back. They've not made a lot of other chances.
But here they come now. Rayan racing through the middle, and he's blocked off by Ferguson. Combination of Ferguson and Robertson getting back there. And actually the referee has said goal kick. Rayan's touch sending the ball out of play. Casemiro is absolutely furious about it.
Yeah, he can be, but we're getting on with it, which I like.
Scotland going up the other end with Gannon Doak in front of Ancelotti in the Brazil dugout, and he wins. Scotland a throw,
Well
a long way
played.
down below us on the near side.
A little bit of urgency, you know, and that was the thing I'm talking about, but not showing them any respect. Get on with it. Put them under pressure. Let them reshape. Let them regroup.
Oh, Brazil should have had a corner. Simple as that. No wonder they were so upset.
No,
Anyway,
keep it.
Scotland have it at
Well
the other
played.
end. Kenny McLean, 25 yards out. Rocket of a shot deflected into the air towards McTominay. Brazil will smuggle it away this time through Bruno Guimarães. And now it's at the feet of the number 5, Casemiro. And Brazil have knocked it right out of play. Poor ball crossfield by Casemiro.
And Brazil suddenly looked rattled.
There's something in this for Scotland. Something brewing. McTominay tries a slide rule pass, well read by Marquinhos. And the ball is carried over the halfway line now, out to Douglas Santos. Near side to left is Vinny Junior. Infield it goes to Paquetá. Brazil, though, at walking pace, and Scotland have got everybody in dark blue back behind the ball.
Just that little one there with Scott McTominay as he tries to play it into Lon Shankland. I think there's one more pass needed, so I think that ball has to go to Shankland coming short, and someone else has to be running off it for the third man running, so that Shankland can play him in, not McTominay getting Shankland in first time off one pass. It's not going to happen. They're too good.
Here on the halfway line is Marquinhos for Brazil. Gabriel, shirt hanging untucked. Good noise from the Scotland fans. Brazil lead by a goal to nil, but they've hardly played like a team in the ascendancy. Vinicius Junior, inside left channel, gets the dead ball line, and he's blocked off by Patterson, who timed that challenge very well indeed. Patterson down by the dead ball line, little 1-2 between him and Ferguson. Patterson forward to Gannon Doak, back to Hendry, got to be careful. Hendry rolling it square to the feet of Gunn. Scotland played out of the defensive third.
No, that is good play. I like that. And now we're over the halfway line.
McTominay loses out again.
Yeah.
To Rayan, of all people. Now Guimarães, 2-3 runners ahead of him. He's popped it forward to Rayan. Rayan with the left-footed effort, and it's well wide of goal.
Yeah, it's surprising. That's twice Scott McTominay's been robbed, you know, with his back to it, and the recovering player's been the one who's taken it off him. You know, so he has to be a little bit more awareness, a little bit, you know, on the half turn really, so that he can block the guy that's coming on to him.
It's interesting getting the view of our TalkSport refereeing sources here at the tournament, and the view that we are getting is that Scotland got away with one, as in the Hendry mistake leading to the Vinicius Junior goal ruled out after a VAR check. Definitely not a VAR foul, we're being told. More contact in penalty decisions not given that didn't reach clear and obvious, and now they say yes, lost consistency there. That's the view of our TalkSport refereeing sources here in Miami. But the decision was made, and Scotland did escape without conceding a second goal. Now they have it with Lewis Ferguson. Forward to Shankland, and it's McLean with Robertson on the overlap down on the far side, the left. Scotland on the attack. Kenny McLean delivers. Oh, it's a poor cross from McLean. It's overhit, and it's going to swirl out of play for a goal kick. Another goal in the game involving Morocco and Haiti elsewhere in Group C. Ian Abrahams.
Morocco 1, Haiti 1, ball in from the left-hand side. The keeper has done ever so well for Haiti. Up to now, just palms it up in the air, and Hakimi, a yard out, taps the ball home. Morocco 1, Haiti 1, live on TalkSport 2.
Thanks, Ian.
The last bit of play there came of Shankland coming short, keeping the ball, laying it off, it going wide out to the other side, and then the cross eventually was not a good one. It went behind, but the play was good. The build up to it was good.
Certainly was. 6 minutes and a half to play. Scotland 0, Brazil 1. R9, the great Ronaldo, the great former Brazilian international, watching on. Still one of the all-time greats. There's actually a young Brazil fan close to us. He's got his hair cut in the old Ronaldo style. It was a bit of a shocker back in 2002, that one. Here is Marquinhos. Halfway line, rolling it square to Paquetá. They don't look readily able to open Scotland up too much in open play. Easy back header for Robertson to Gunn, as if to illustrate that.
Yeah, I think that at times Brazil look a little bit lacking in ideas, other than when their good players get on the ball and they start running at you. But in terms of the sort of joined up football that we expect from Brazil, you know, where the third man is running and people are overlapping and people are changing positions, there's not a lot of that going on. So it's relatively easy for Scotland to track the runs and to stay in shape.
Brazil know they're through if they avoid defeat, and if they better Morocco's results, they win the group. That's what they're doing at the moment. The 5 times World Cup winners. A long drought by their standards, though, since 2002, the last time they lifted the famous Jules Rimet trophy. Scotland looking to reach the knockout stages for the first time ever. On the halfway line for Brazil is Casemiro, and now Guimarães just to the right edge of the centre circle. Marquinhos, and Brazil slowing the play down, it feels like, whenever they are in possession. It's metronome-like, and it's not particularly incisive.
No, but it's energy saving. You know, and we said that because they've got the goal, they can afford to do this. They don't have to, you know, use up energy trying to get a second goal. They will come upon opportunities. They know that. They will work chances without overextending.
Cunha with a curling effort, and it drifts a couple of yards wide of Gunn's left-hand post. I think he had it covered, the goalkeeper. He hasn't had a lot to do. In fact, he hasn't really had anything to do, Angus Gunn. That's one of many massive frustrations in the first half for Scotland, I think.
Yeah, and I see Ferguson there having a bit of a go at the centre halves about getting up, you know, and about getting out and squeezing the pressure and not allowing, you know, them to have that free shot.
Headed by McKenna downfield, retrieved on the stretch by Casemiro. Paquetá floats the ball long straight away. Header away by Hendry in front of Vinicius Junior. Scotland with Gannon Doak on the halfway line. He hasn't really been able to run at the Brazil back line quite as much as certainly Scotland fans would have hoped, and we've not seen a lot of Lawrence Shankland at all in the game so far, but again, he's not really had the service to match with 42 minutes gone.
I think the couple of touches he's had, the last couple of touches have been constructive. You know, he's kept the ball, we've managed to switch play out of it, and we've actually ended up with a couple of crosses. Down here, Gannon Doak's not on his front foot. You know, when the ball gets played round the corner, he's caught on his heels and he's not first to the ball. He has to be aware that that ball might come round the corner.
Douglas Santos, left back on this near side, left back somewhat a problem position for Brazil. Vinicius Junior went down off the ball just in front of him, and the referee plays a somewhat sensible advantage. Another goal in the game between Morocco and Haiti. Ian Abrahams.
Absolute classic goal. Morocco 1, Haiti 2. Sunderland's Wilson Isidore from all of 25 yards out. Left-footed shot into the top corner of the net. No chance for the keeper. Morocco 1, Haiti 2.
Well, that is a surprising turn of events. A little touch by Guimarães, down the inside right, well covered Kenny McLean, back to Angus Gunn. If Scotland were to draw, though, they couldn't finish second. That's because Morocco beat them on match day 2, and Morocco would have the better record in the head-to-head. So if
second ricochet.
we are nearly 2 minutes through the 6 added at the end of the first half. Scotland 0, Brazil 1. It remains here on TalkSport. Vinicius Junior fouled. Fouled by Patterson coming across, and it is a free kick to Brazil. More cheers from the crowd here because of the goals that have gone in elsewhere that are being announced and then shown in full on the big screen. It's still Morocco 2, Haiti 2, and a thriller over on TalkSport 2, as Ian Abrahams was saying. 1-0 Brazil lead here. Nervy for the Scotland fans this, because if they concede again, it's surely game over. And then they'll be watching and waiting over the next few days to see if they get through as one of the best third-place teams. 3 points may not be enough, and here's Rayan into the area. 1-2 by Guimarães to find him, cleared away by Robertson, bravely so. Guimarães delivers again. Guns missed it, headed in. Vinicius Junior for 2. Guns flapped to the ball, and there was the little man, the magic man, at the back post, the brilliant Brazilian with a dancing celebration. Vinicius Junior heads home from 2 yards out. A massive blow for Scotland's qualification hopes. They concede in first half injury time. It is now Scotland 0, Brazil 2, and once again he's on a hat-trick, Vinicius Junior.
again, you know, if we wind it back to where the source of it was, we've got ourselves to blame. It's our play that's created an opportunity for them to get there and to get the cross. He's crossed it early, and if we watch here the way we try to defend this here, there, now watch this. You know, that is shocking. You know, first of all, the ball doesn't reach the target, and secondly, we don't win the tackle. And thirdly, Angus Gunn misses the cross. You know, again, I don't put any of that down to what Brazil are doing. That is entirely down to what Scotland are doing.
Free header for one of the smallest men on the field at the back post. And it is 2 now, no doubt about this one. And Scotland, who know that they maybe can't afford a heavy defeat, goal difference could come into those third place rankings, are now 2-0 down with 2 minutes to go in first half stoppage time. And it was the simplest of headers for Vinicius Junior, who, as I say, was on a hat-trick, it seemed, before that goal was ruled out. Now he is on a hat-trick. John McGinn tears down the inside left and wins Scotland a free kick midway inside the Brazil half. Well, they need something here, Mark. They probably need at least one goal.
You know, this is the third game, and I feel as if that John McGinn's not been able to have an influence. And I'm not blaming John McGinn. I think he needs to be in the centre to dictate, to use his physicality, you know, to use his captaincy. He's got to be in there. We saw him there, one is a free kick, one is one in the middle, and we're shooting to score a goal.
Robertson standing over the free kick, plenty forward in dark blue, everybody back for Brazil, driven in by Robertson, up went McKenna, headed to the back post, hit by Gannon Doak, cleared away from the edge of the penalty area by Brazil. Hendry nodded it down and Gannon Doak was there, firing it goalwards. Good defending by Marquinhos. We're into the final 30 seconds of added time at the end of the first half. Scotland throw. Long by Hendry, not a good throw by Hendry, headed away easily, and now it's prodded downfield by Cunha, nearly reached Vinicius Junior, headed away on the cover by Scott McKenna. Scotland then lose the ball on the halfway line. Cunha, the number 9, little flick by Vinicius Junior, chipped forward by Paquetá. Oh, what a piece of skill by Rayan! Oh, what a save by Gunn! They turned on the style there, Brazil. The Samba style in full flow. Rayan juggled it away from his man, and Gunn stands up to make a save that keeps Scotland in the match.
A touch of the Dennis Bergkamp's there, the way he spins it round him, and Angus makes a terrific save. I'm not quite sure it makes up for his mistake for the goal, but it certainly keeps us in some sort of chance with the game.
Last few seconds of the first half, corner lifted in by Paquetá. Gunn, a little hesitation.
To see your face, we'll be able to tell what you made of it.
Yeah, I thought we were poor, if I'm honest. We're not really. But Brazil let us control the game at the back, and all they're doing is letting us invite pressure ourselves, and then they're setting their tempo of their press. And like me and Lucas were talking about this earlier, Brazil have changed under Ancelotti. They're happy enough to do the stuff off the ball. Cunha drops in, and then when they set the press, they've got so much pace. And for me, Scott and Jack and two centre halves thinking they had a little bit more pressure than what they did have, and thinking it was going to be a little bit easy because we started off the game quite nice, passing the ball on the back, a bit like what we did against Haiti, and it was slow, but we've not really threatened anything in behind. You need to try and stretch that defence as well, and for us, the amount of times we put ourselves under pressure, that's a disappointing thing.
And I think as well, when you look at those half-time stats, you might be able to forgive maybe a lack of ambition going forward in the early stages of that game against Brazil, the 5-time World Cup winners, but it's the amount of opportunities that Brazil have had as well.
Yeah, I think towards the end of that half, we were really starting to suffer. I think maybe confidence potentially was being an impact too, but we need to probably be a little smarter in terms of there's a difference in control and possession and trying to control and dictate the game, and when a team allows you to have the ball. And I think Brazil have been very sharp in identifying where we might struggle in areas, far too casual at the back. The best thing is it's half time, it's 2-0. We know that every goal counts, so we've got a chance to regroup, and we need to be much more aware, especially having the ball in the back line in the second half.
Yeah, goal difference could prove to be absolutely crucial in terms of qualifying for the last 32. For Brazil, though, they look as though they're on their way to progress to the last 32 as winners of the group yet again. Lucas, how impressed have you been with, and I know Scotland have given them opportunities, but how impressed have you been with, as Rachel said, the sharpness of Brazil?
Yes, really, really important the way they are pressing. They are letting the Scotland have the ball. Scotland have more possession than Brazil, but Cunha dropping in and the two wingers a little bit higher on the pitch, which is forcing Scotland making mistakes. And it could have been 3 or 4, so I don't think, in my opinion, it wasn't a foul, so it could have been easy 3-0. So the question is how they will come back and see what Carlo Ancelotti will do now. You know, I think the game is not done yet, but it's a good first half for Brazil.
We'll look back at that contentious decision to disallow Vinny's second goal of the game very shortly, after we've heard from the Scotland assistant coach. Stephen Naismith is with Ailey.
Stephen, 2 mistakes, really frustrating, but how do you reflect on that first half?
Yeah, it's tough, obviously. It's now the second game in a row we've lost an early goal, which is really difficult. I think they've shown their threat. They're happy to make you feel comfortable, and they'll punish you. So obviously we need to regroup at half time and be better defensively, but we need to carry a threat.
What will that message be at half time, particularly losing so late on the first half?
Yeah, it will be that we've got to be better defensively, and they're happy to leave bodies up the pitch. But I think we've got the final third, but similar to Morocco, we've not tested the goalie. We need to do that a bit more in the second half.
Wish you all the best, Tuesday. Thank you.
Before we look at that goal defensively from Scotland's point of view, just talk us through the Brazilian point of view of this, Lucas, and the composure that Vinicius Junior scored, which we're so used to seeing.
Yes, like we said before the game, you know, I think it was a great pressure from the team. You can see Cunha right on the holding midfielder. Ryan made a good press and he was so composed. What a touch to take on the goalkeeper and score the first goal. I think Scotland started the game well, but then conceded with 7 minutes. It made it really difficult for Scotland.
Well, Scotland made it very difficult for Scotland.
Scotland do what Scotland do at times. We always make it difficult. It's what we're very good at. But like as Nazy says, it's 2 goals in very quick succession in the first halves. And I'm sure everything that Steve talks about in there, he's talking about make sure we're solid. And like we've managed to win the ball back. You need to make passes under pressure. Okay, there's an opportunity like Ben's going in behind. Mm-hmm. Can we go and stretch them? We don't, right? Jack takes a fantastic touch there out of pressure. There we go. Calmness again. Scotty should deepen off if he can, but it's went to Robbo. Like 2 different scenarios that we've had. And the hard thing is now, can Scotty deepen off again? Like the exact same scenario comes on. It doesn't go out to Robbo. Like they knows Ryan's press is there. Vinicius is floating about. And it's this touch as soon as that's plain and simple. You can easily go to Robbo. It's that touch there, just a little bit too heavy for Scotty. And like what Vinicius does is unbelievable. That first touch takes a gun out the game.
Is it the difference between composed and casual, Rachel?
I think there's a lot of things. There's a lot of basic things you can do much quicker. Right, Scott should get into position a little quicker, sort of handballs back. That means that Ryan's able to almost put a doubt in his mind if he can play to Robbo. And those are just simple things, you know. If you get in position quick, I think Gunn probably plays the pass slightly behind him. He maybe thinks McKenna's going to take one more step, but that means McKenna's still shifting his feet when the ball arrives. It's ever so slight, but when you're playing against players that are so fast, you know, we know Ryan's got unbelievable pace. He's on you in a flash, and it just a little bit of doubt. Scott takes another touch inside, and then he's on him. And it seems so simple when you watch it. We slow it down, bring it down. It looks easy. Those are the things we have to be on top of, though, because Brazil are trying to lure us into thinking we're comfortable, and then they jump.
They jumped for the second goal, which eventually was overturned. Let's take a look at it and work out whether we think there is actually a foul here by Vinicius Junior. I mean, again, Scotland are sort of creating their own problems.
Yeah, I think Brazil let Scotland think that they are in control, and they just show where they wanna Scotland to play. So, and then, like Rachel said, Vini had for me, it's not a foul. A great press, could be 2-0, and of course, let's see what the referees the VAR, the referees expert will say. So for me, it wasn't a foul. Definitely wasn't.
Vinny's pace there that makes that over 2-3 yards. Jack thinks he's got, probably when he's playing in Saudi Arabia, he's turning around, he's passing it back to the goalie. No, Vinny's not letting that happen.
Is anybody making a case for this being a foul?
I think the argument is there's contact made before Vinicius Junior touches the ball. So I think the officials maybe deem he's not in control of the ball and therefore he makes contact with the Scotland player first. I think that is ever so fortunate.
Yeah, Darren Cann, our refereeing expert, agrees and thinks that Scotland were very lucky not to have that ruled as a decisive goal. It would have put Brazil 2-0 up, but eventually they were 2-0 up right at the end of the first half. At the first half.
Yes, I think after the disallowed goal, I think Scotland got some good momentum, but then Brazil got back the rhythm and start to be dangerous again. Now Cunha, I would like to say, he's been fantastic the first half, and he started to recovering the ball. And Vini Junior again, in a great position. It's a great cross by Bruno, I think, and Bruno Guimarães, and it's 2-0. I think finishing the first half 2-0 up, it gives you more confidence to come back for the second half.
Again, Rachel.
Gunn and Patterson need to deal with that, certainly at the back post. I think Angus Gunn totally misjudges it. It's a gift of a header. It's a gift to lose the ball in that scenario. But when we do lose the ball initially, we do have time to defend the situation better. That is really frustrating, certainly at the time in the game that was.
And that is how Sao Paulo reacted with that second goal going in for Brazil, because they know they're on course to top their group as they progress to the last 32. Look, it has been a first half in which there's been lots of cause for celebration for Brazil, and it may be that Angus Gunn didn't cover himself in glory in that particular instance. However, he did pull off a really important save towards the end of the first half.
Yeah, it was huge for us because going in at 3-0, game's done and dusted. This is an unbelievable bit of quality there. That touch, and happy for Angus Gunn to make that save, but as you say, he probably didn't cover himself in glory in the last one, but he's definitely made up for it with that save.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Oh, amazing save. I think at 3-0, we know every goal counts, but 3-0 would be a real sucker punch at this point in time, at half time in a game where we want to be in it, and we are in it.
Lucas, you have talked about Cunha and how important he's been for Brazil. Not on the score sheet yet, but why have you been so impressed with him? What's he giving to the team?
I think he's giving the freedom for Vini Junior and Ryan to be higher up on the pitch. On the defensive side, he's been really important, playing like a number 6 in front of the midfield. So, and link up plays, you can see he's giving always an option and trying to always create a chance. And he almost scored at the end of the first half. So I think he's been the key. And we talked about earlier that giving the freedom to Vini Junior play a little bit higher and be more effective, and that's what is happening. I think because of Cunha as well, is giving that option. One more player in midfield.
So it's been a difficult first half for Scotland. They trail Brazil by 2-0. Let's catch up on the other game in Group C. Morocco are taking on Haiti. It's a good one, this. Commentary from Stephen Wyeth and Martin Keogh.
This way to Casemir. Held that up really well. And support from Dubé. And Haiti in front. Levy Joseph on the doorstep to seize his moment. And it's a quality finish. Brahim Diaz. El Kudus running it to there. A wonderful initially from the goalkeeper, but Hakimi firing in has equalised for Morocco. Oh, extraordinary! A phenomenal goal! Sunderland's Wilson Issa, the highest flying Haiti back in front in some Hakimi. Pulled back into a really good area. And Morocco have equalised again. And it is a third goal of the World Cup for Ismail Saibari.
Incredible first half between those two. At the end of 45 minutes, Brazil are on course to top their group for the 12th World Cup in a row. Morocco, as things stand, are set to go through as runners-up. Scotland do still have a chance of reaching the last 32 as it stands. They also can't finish any lower than third because they've beaten Haiti, so they have a better head-to-head record against them. So whatever Haiti do, they can't finish above Scotland. But Scotland really need to keep an eye on their goal difference. Also on the iPlayer, you can go behind the scenes with Scotland goalkeeper Craig Gordon as the 43-year-old made it into Scotland's World Cup squad.
Gordon sprawled and made the save, and he's injured.
Did you think you'd play it? Not at that point, no.
If this was a year there was no international tournament, then I probably wouldn't be still here.
You read the information they've played, camp paralysis, you can die.
Well, Group A concludes later tonight. Czech Republic need a win when they face Mexico in Mexico City. That was live on BBC One and iPlayer, and it's all to play for in Monterrey. South Africa take on South Korea. BBC Two and iPlayer for that one. But if you miss any of the action throughout the night, you can catch up on iPlayer with no spoilers. Just head to the BBC Sport website and app for all the latest. And there's a really useful tool. It's coming into its own at the moment. You can see how the projected round 32 is shaping up. And there will be lots of reaction to what happens in Miami on the Scottish Football Podcast. And of course, remember, you can check out the Football Daily on BBC Sounds as well.
This is just the beginning. The beginning of what? Freedom? Nightmare.
The new series of This City Is Ours, coming this autumn on BBC iPlayer.
Big 45 minutes coming up from Scotland. We need to remember, Scott, that this is not the end if Scotland lose this game. They do really need to keep an eye on the goal difference here.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for Scotland. Huge team talk for Steve Clarke. 45 minutes, we need to dig deep. We need to make sure we don't concede any more goals and hope to God that we manage to score a goal.
Scotland trailing at the moment by 2-0 against Brazil as we head into the second half in Miami in the company of James McFadden and Liam McLeod.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, these two have met at World Cups 20 in the past. You want to keep across all the action at this one. A handy reminder that to enjoy the World Cup you need a TV licence. If yours needs renewing, you can scan the code that's on your screen now to do so. 1974, 1982, 1990 and 1998, these two went head to head. The one in 1974 is the best Scotland have got on in Frankfurt, a goalless draw as Willie Ormond's Scotland side failed to get out of their group despite not losing any of their 3 games. Against Mario Zagallo's Brazilians, 82 in Seville, Brazil came from a Dave Neary goal down to win 4-1. Scotland failing to beat the Soviets in their final game a few days later to exit yet again. In 1990 they met in the final group game in Turin. Brazil winning thanks to a late mover goal. And then came the famous tournament opener in 1998 in the Stade de France, with John Collins' penalty cancelling out Cesar Sampaio's opener for Brazil, who would win it thanks to a Tom Boyd own goal. And as you can see, Kieran Tierney has made his way onto the park for the start of the second half, and there's no Andy Robertson. It's Brazil prepared to get proceedings back underway here. It's a surprise. Didn't look as though there was an injury, but Robertson, who's so integral to this Scotland side, has had injury problems at this tournament, most notably with Aaron Hickey. And it is Canariña to get the second half underway. Back to Allison it goes, as Brazil continue with the same 11. And the header there from Danilo comes right through to Gunn. So no Robertson, albeit it's an able deputy in Kieran Tierney.
Yes, I mean that is the positive side to it. Kieran Tierney more than capable, but it is a concern that Andy Robertson's going off at half time. Must be some issue because I thought he looked comfortable in that first half.
Begin with the armband now then. Finds Tierney. What can Scotland muster in the second half? They cannot allow the scoreline to get any worse for a start.
No, I think they have to move the ball forward quicker. See there, Lewis Ferguson, just a miscommunication there. Ganondorf comes short to spin in behind. The space was there. Can they move the ball forward quicker, as the guys were saying? Half time there. It has been Brazil just sitting off, allowing Scotland that possession in an area that's not going to hurt Brazil.
Last time Scotland came from behind at a major tournament to avoid defeat with a 2-2 draw with the Soviets in Malaga in '82. The last time they came from behind to win a major tournament match was against the Dutch in '78. They're two behind here. Here's Guimaraes. Gabriel. As always in Brazil matches, the soundtrack is the sound of the samba in the stands. And enjoying the evening here. Big Brazilian contingent in Miami. Tomini wins it back from Paquetá. We need somehow to find the next goal. As has been the case too often at major tournaments, they look a little bit toothless. There's Ganondorf trying to make inroads.
The chance comes because when it comes to Patterson, in the first half that pass would have gone back to Jack Henry, but he flicks it with outside his boot forward inside to Lewis Ferguson. Then it's a couple of quick little passes between Ferguson, Patterson, McTominay, then the drive forward, play it in front of Ganondorf to run onto it. More of that can give Scotland an opportunity to get a goal back here.
Ferguson for McLean. McKenna. 3 points in -2 is what they're on right now. And that's around about 63% chance of going through with that. It drops to 42 at -3 and 27 for -4. It was interesting what the guys were saying at half time there, the Brazilians setting traps.
Yeah, you could see it. You could see that they were just waiting, allowing Scotland to feel comfortable and then go and press at the right moment. They got their joy from it.
Again, Tierney wraps his foot round it, touch straight at Allison from McTominay. We need more of that, that's for sure.
Miles better, miles better. Quick pass and move, quick decisions made. McTominay gets up really well, does well to get the header in. They just can't get it either side of Allison. Lovely link-up play by McGinn and Tierney. It's just too off enough that he can't get on either side down into the ground, back across where the ball's come from. Terrific option, but sight of goal this early in the half is certainly a positive.
Marquinhos looking for Vinicius Junior in behind. And defended this time by Hendry. Ferguson for McLean. And now Shankland, who's been working on the periphery of things throughout. Nothing really to feed off of. Will there be something here? It wasn't the worst ball in by Patterson, but Shankland couldn't get close to it.
He normally likes to make that run towards the back. Shankland as well. He gambles and going the near post. If he'd made his usual run, he's got a chance to score there. Great ball in from Patterson.
Pakitama for Vinicius Junior.
Oh.
Keeps him at bay for now.
There's a difference. It's one pass. It's a brilliant pass, perfectly weighted. Takes a really good first touch as well. And just gun spreads himself. And that's just how dangerous Brazil are.
Telly was the last man to score a hat-trick for Brazil at the World Cup finals. Imagine their number 7 tonight will be eyeing up that feat.
Well, he's certainly going to get chances. He's in the mood all right. And you look at Brazil at this point in time, it's like a 4-4-2 they're playing. Vinny Junior alongside Cunha.
That's a lovely ball back. Patterson hits the deck. No penalty. Waved away by the referee. Didn't look like one from up here, in all fairness.
What is wrong with this keeper?
Senor Ramos certainly wasn't in the mood to give it.
No, it wasn't. It was great play. Little got 1-2 back heel. Patterson driving into the box. Clearly, it's been a quick check to confirm the referee's decision.
It's Marquinhos. Bruno Guimaraes. Ryan. Paquetá. To Douglas Santos. This is Junior to Casemiro to Marquinhos and Danilo. Scotland, everyone behind the ball. This is Junior. Down the throat of Gunn. Their own little battle, those two.
I mean, clearly he's in the mood. That is the worry. You know, they've not really. Well, they haven't dominated possession. It hasn't been control with the ball, but they look so dangerous when they go forward, particularly Vinny Junior.
Taking chances in the first half of Scotland were against them. A guy who scored in 2 separate Champions League finals. And you're not going to come up against a much higher standard of opponent than that.
Yeah. And you don't. He doesn't need any encouragement.
Scored the winner against Liverpool in 22 and scored the second against Dortmund a year later at Wembley. You'll relish being the talisman for this Brazil side.
He's got a great relationship with Ancelotti as well. Clearly knows how to get the best out of him, how to treat him, how to make him feel special.
He's his coach during those Champions League victories.
He's a master. I mean, he is a master. It is a master stroke by Brazil to bring him in because there always seems to be harmony in his teams and knows how to win.
Come on.
Ball comes back the way, and then there was another shout for a penalty, and once again
No
it's waved
pen.
away by the ref. McLean went down this time.
Brazil get the free kick, and the boos ring out from the Tapping Army behind the goal there. It takes too long, Kenny McLean. Lovely flick once again by Lawrence Shankland. The awareness to know where Kenny McLean is. And he's just waiting for it to come down. It's clumsy, there is a little bit of contact. But I think he just needs to try and get his shot away. You're never going to get the time to let that bounce and take another touch. Could they try and then maybe take it first time? But at least the ball's getting in and around the box. It's going up to Shankland. They're getting support around them. Look more threatening in this second half. Ryan chases after it. Actually, their lowest world ranking coming into a World Cup ever. Brazil. They're the only South American side at this World Cup who suffered 6 qualifying defeats. And to put that in context, they only lost 5 qualifying games in the past 20 years combined. So they weren't coming into this quite hot.
Oh, Vini on the move again.
And Junior,
Oh.
you stepped over there from Gimenez. You couldn't quite get back onto it. Yeah, we're read by Angus Gunn.
Football will continue. Forward by Paquetá, Vinicius Junior turns with his back to goal, up to the edge of the penalty area, looks for Bruno Guimaraes, little dummy, and out comes Gunn. Sprawling save at the feet of Vinicius Junior, who outpaced everybody, but the Scotland goalkeeper has it there.
You hold your breath there because you're not sure if he's going to get ahead of him and end up giving away a penalty. No, but good goalkeeping.
Not a lot that he could have done tonight, Angus Gunn, although maybe Will feel he could have dealt with the cross from Guimaraes better for the second Brazil goal. Now Gannon Doak trying to dribble away down the right-hand side, blocked off by Paquetá. Paquetá goes down, and Scotland get give away a free kick.
Yeah. Ben Gannon Doak's got to recognise when they're doubled up in him. There's 2 of them they're doubling up. He's not going to beat them both. So get us up the pitch 5 yards, come back and play with Patterson and build the play back across to this side.
Lots of Scotland players warming up down below us on the near side touchline to the left of the halfway line as we look at it. Brazil have possession. Guimaraes, little touch, out wide by Cunha to the fullback Danilo, formerly of Manchester City. Now Rayan meandering away down the right-hand side. Pump of the drums from the Brazilian supporters here. The atmosphere has been first class throughout. Here come Brazil attacking the end that houses the majority of their fans. Guimaraes, good reverse ball down the inside right, but Danilo, despite herring after it, couldn't keep it in play, the 34-year-old, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, well, either John McGinn's a really good judge of the pace of the ball on this pitch, or, you know, he got away with one there in the sense that, you know, he got in behind him, and John looked as if he was ball watching.
A penny for the thoughts of Steve Clarke. Nearly an hour into the game. Scotland 0, Brazil 2 is the latest score here on TalkSport. Does he stick? Does he twist and try and make changes? Does he try and work away back into it more aggressively? Rayan notching it backwards. Shot is on for Cunha. It's blocked. It's come out to Paquetá on the edge of the area. Right-footed curler is wide. Scotland escape again, Mark McGee.
I wasn't sure there wasn't an offside at the lines or not. But no, they got not so much got away with one. It wasn't a good shot. They're going to have shots, and we have to deal with them. You know, we've got a goalkeeper to do that. We've got a back four to squeeze up and put pressure on the ball, not to allow them easy shots. You know, we've got to live with that. These are good players. They're going to create opportunities to get shots. We've got to do the same at the other end. Again, say it again. Get the ball into Shankland at every opportunity. We've not had the opportunity to do it much.
A tough night for the Scots, and chastening the night again. this World Cup. Referee played an initial advantage and now gives Brazil a free kick, and Brazil have a firm command of this game. Brazil are going to win the group. Elsewhere, it's still Morocco 2, Haiti 2, live on TalkSport 2. Morocco will finish second, Scotland will be third, we knew that before the game, but whether 3 points and a -2 goal difference will be enough is a matter subject not only for debate, but for the games elsewhere to come over recent days. Bruno Guimaraes has outpaced Kenny McLean, lovely feet, lays it square, Cunha! It's 3! It gets worse and worse for Scotland. They are being torn apart here in Miami. Weaving footwork from Bruno Guimaraes. He tees up the turf, Cunha. He drills it beyond Angus Gallagher. There's the roll of the Senegal. Brazil are turning on the style, and Scotland have nowhere to look. Scotland 0, Brazil 3, and our Scotland's World Cup hopes crumbling before our very eyes in Miami.
Well, not only is it the good play of Brazil, but you know, we've been out-muscled, and I can't believe that. I can't believe that we've been out-physical. The one at the edge of the box here, when he just holds him off there, you know, we can't be getting out-muscled. We've got to lose a game by brilliant play, but not by the basic elements of the game.
A glum and gloomy night for the Tartan Army. A night that will not be forgotten in
possession again. Excellent from Tierney again. Little 1-2.
quick time. The scars of this evening may well really hurt Steve Clarke and his team. Ancelotti applauds. Brazil lead by 3 goals to 0, and we can take it from the commentary box on TalkSport to pitch side and Shabana Hearn. The reaction of the Tartan Army, Shaban.
The wind is well and truly out of our sails, guys. I'm just looking at Steve Clarke and his staff. They've not even got up off their feet after that goal went in. There's been no communication between Steve and the players. It seems like the tide has turned on us, guys.
The biggest cheer of the night reserved for Neymar warming up, and he might be about to come on very shortly. It could get worse for Scotland, but here's Kieran Tierney with a good low ball in, turned away at the near post, and Tierney has been fouled, and Scotland get a free kick. It was a very late challenge by Danilo, who's been booked. Free kick right on the left edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, you know, I'm not prepared to give up on this. We're not going to beat Brazil tonight. That is absolutely clear. You know, but even a goal, you know, it might be the thing that takes us through, and never know. Getting a goal and then maybe building off that, who knows, for a second. But, you know, we cannot give up on it. You know, discount the fact that it's 3-0, keep doing what we're doing, defend better. I say it again, you know, being out-muscled at the edge of your own 18-yard box there is diabolical. You cannot afford to be doing that. You have to win those challenges, you have to be stronger, you have to be more determined, you have to act earlier. He's got to block him before he steps across him and causes the block. The Scotland defender's got to block the Brazilian before he makes the move. But free kick, who knows?
Nobody's picked up Tierney standing right on the edge of the area. They do eventually do that now. Left edge of the box here. Ferguson could well go for goal. He might whip this in right underneath Allison's crossbar. He does, and Allison tips it away. Two-handed for a Scotland corner. Mark McGee's absolutely spot on. 63 minutes in, Scotland 0, Brazil 3. But every single goal really matters in the race to be one of the best placed third-place sides. So if Scotland do get 1 or 2, that could make all the difference for them. Corner, far side of the field. 24 in dark blue here, including McKenna and Hendry. Brazil are going to make a double change shortly. Whipped in by John McGinn. Ferguson at the back post is well headed away. Bounces down to Tierney. Tierney on his left foot. Fizzes it across goal. McTominay! Good save, Allison. Plunging to his right-hand side to deny Scott McTominay, and Scotland to goal.
A brilliant cross, a brilliant header, but unfortunately you've got the best goalie in the world there. You know, a great save from Allison, but, you know, how much hope does this give us? That doesn't.
Tierney's given it straight to Paquetá. Vinicius Junior's on his way again, but the flag is up. Double change on the way for Brazil. Fabinho, the former Liverpool man, who has spoken about his coaching ambitions over the last year. Nobody better to learn from than Ancelotti. And Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli stripped and ready to come on. So we won't see Neymar just yet, but we might see him soon. For the first time in nearly 3 years in a Brazil shirt. That's what the crowd wants. The Brazil fans purring with their team leading 3-0. Scotland on the attack. Gannon took out muscle by Gabriel, and that's a goal kick to Brazil. And here are the changes. Off goes Casemiro. First of all, straight swap. Fabinho in midfield, now plays his football in Saudi Arabia. And Martinelli for the number 20, Paquetá.
Well, it doesn't get any easier for Scotland. You know, the pace of Martinelli coming on fresh is going to be a problem for us. But, you know, I have to say that, you know, Kieran Tierney's got 3 or 4 of the best crosses we've had in the entire competition, in the entire 3 games. He's put in, he's given them a chance of scoring. More of that.
Scotland 6th out of 12 in the 3rd place table. The top 8 all go through to the round of 32. But the vast majority in that table are yet to play their 3rd and final game. Indeed, only Scotland and Bosnia, who are top of the 3rd place table with 4 points, have played all 3 matches. Everybody else is on 2. I mean, in terms of the scoreline, it couldn't have got much worse for Scotland tonight. They've actually created more than they have done in either of the first 2 matches. But again, they can't score. Not yet. Gannon Doak back to Hendry. The Brazil fans are singing and dancing here in Miami with the floodlights on and the clouds looming large overhead. Kieran Tierney out on the near side, the left. Tierney popping it backwards to McKenna. Now Ferguson, they've certainly had passages of good play in the game, Scotland. Tierney taking on Rayan. Rayan gets a big touch to deflect the cross. It bounces into the penalty area, and Rayan actually has nudged that back to Allison.
Clever bit of defending.
They'll have 7 points from 3 games, Brazil. But what is the message going to be, I wonder, from Steve Clarke at the hydration break very shortly? Because Scotland do know that if they get one back, it could make all the difference. Nutmeg, Cunha or McGinn.
Yeah, and the energy thing comes into it. He's got to make changes. He's got to bring fresh legs on, because no matter how much you're relying on McTominay or McGinn or any of the key players, if they're running out of energy, you have to give someone else an opportunity who can come on with fresh legs and potentially create.
Martinelli's made a good run up the middle, but a miscontrol by Bruno Guimaraes, and it's hoisted away by Scott McKenna. Thunders the ball downfield. His early error has set the tone for everything that has followed. Scotland's hopes of qualifying tonight absolutely out of the window. They had to win to confirm qualification tonight. The draw would have all but done it, but they're not going to draw the game either. It's about minimising the damage and keeping them in touch in that 3rd place table. Forward come Brazil again. Cunha lunges in wide right, and Bruno Guimaraes can't scamper across quickly enough to keep it in play. It is the end of the 3rd quarter of the game. The hydration break will now take place. Scotland 0, Brazil 3. Mark McGee, what are the goals that Steve Clarke is going to set for the final 23 minutes here?
I think, you know, he doesn't want, first of all, he doesn't want to get any worse. You know, and so far in this last period, you know, with a couple of crosses from this side from Tierney, there's been hope of getting a goal. There's been opportunities and a couple of great saves from Allison. So I think we want more of that. So I don't think we have to make too much change to other than freshen up the legs. So it might be a Christie that comes on in front of Tierney, or you know, John McGinn looks to me as if he's labouring. John McGinn looks to me as if he's one pace. You know, running back in there, he looks as if he was losing touch with the back 4 as they run back in. So I think that maybe John McGinn's one that needs to be taken off and changed. As I say, maybe a Christie, a more natural in this position.
Is he being used used in the right way? Are Scotland getting the best out of John McGinn?
Well, I've thought that the whole tournament that he hasn't been. I love to see John in a more central position. You know, and David Moyes said it about, you know, the fact that he plays in that position for Aston Villa. But Aston Villa play a different system from Scotland, and they play, dare I say, a more sophisticated system. They play, as David said, they play a box, and John's a key part of that, and that works really, really well for Aston Villa, and it works really well for John McGinn in that system. But this is different. John McGinn's, you know, in an on position. He doesn't know whether he's on the left wing. He doesn't know whether he's a left back. He doesn't know whether to go in and play in central midfield. He's had to do that time. Left of the central midfield. But, you know, I think if they plonk him in the middle, or had plonked him in the middle, he'd be more effective.
Let's go back pitch side. Shaban Ahern behind the goal, looking across from the left as we look at it to the dugout near the halfway line. What can you see going on there? Shaban, is Steve Clarke energetic? Is he trying to cajole the players, or are there just quick messages being given?
It's quick messages being given and lots of drinks bottles being handed out as well. I think just as Mark touched on there, I agree on the subject of John McGinn. I think he looks laboured. I think the heat is really affecting the players down here. It might be worth introducing somebody new in the midfield. Again, maybe Ryan Christie coming in. Potentially even Fletcher, maybe relying on a little bit of youth. It feels like the guys are really struggling with the heat. That's what I'm seeing down here right now.
Well, a humid night and a very difficult night for Scotland. As it stands, the Scots would play Mexico in the round of 32 on Wednesday the 1st of July, 2 a.m. UK time in Mexico City. But the wait for that, or any sort of round 32 fixture to be confirmed, will be an extremely nervous one over the coming days, because of course the vast majority of the groups at this World Cup are yet to be completed. The game is back underway, no changes for Scotland as they win a free kick midway inside their own half of the field. I mean, these are seriously energy-sapping conditions as we get a shot on our monitor as Gunn takes up possession, and Gunn nearly gives it away, but he's eventually managed to play it into the path of McKenna. I think was that Andy Robertson with an ice pack on his ankle, so clearly that's the issue, and that's why the Scotland captain was taken off at half-time. No doubt more in terms of the injury prognosis once we're done tonight.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay if we do end up in a game in Mexico. There, you know, John McGinn received it where he's just received it again, looked ahead. There was nobody ahead of him. You know, he was the one that was looking for a winger. He's the guy that's been asked to be the winger. You know, so he needs to, they need to decide where he's playing.
That's Neymar getting stripped and ready to go. Tierney delivers across. Shankland on the turn. McTominay over the top from 6 yards out. Defender was goal side. Wasn't an easy chance, but McTominay scooped it over. Here comes Neymar.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen Shankland do well for Hearts. You know, that little turn, gets a snapshot away and it ends up in the bottom corner. Didn't quite connect with it. McTominay was in behind him and it came rather awkwardly for him, and it ends up scooting it over the bar. But hope for Scotland again, and from this left-hand side.
Final instructions for Neymar from Carlo Ancelotti. This is the man, this is the moment. The Brazil fans have come to Miami in their droves to see. He's back, and he'll be on very shortly.
Can I just say as well, I mean, at this stage, you know, Ben Gannon-Doak has not been effective. He's not been able to get the ball to him, he's not been able to get at them. It's now an hour into the game or so. I think it's time to change him and give fresh legs and somebody with the energy in front of Patterson, so that he can support it, but somebody that can get at him on that right-hand side, because Gannon-Doak is no longer effective.
That's the voice, the former Scotland assistant manager Mark McGee. Will keep an eye on the situation down below us. At the moment it's only Neymar who is ready to come on. 17 minutes to go. Martinelli back to goal. He can twist and turn here, poke it into the path of Vinicius Junior, who has it whipped off his toes by Patterson, and now Scotland come forward. McTominay scampers forward, plays a square ball behind John McGinn. That takes all the momentum out of the counter.
And you see John McGinn again looking out here to this left-hand side. There's nobody here, so he's forced then to go back out to the right, whereas he wants to open up and play, you know, like Tierney, but Tierney was a long way behind John McGinn in the build-up there.
Here is Here's McLean, bright orange boots on, square ball to Ferguson, the stocky Ferguson. Angled ball to Patterson is on. Patterson's on the overlap, but he doesn't use it. Comes back infield into a central area where McLean is waiting. Now John McGinn on the turn. Wide left is Tierney. Three in the middle for Scotland. Kieran Tierney goes on the outside of Rayan, who gets a touch and pokes it behind for a corner.
Brilliant. I mean, Kieran Tierney, once he's been in that last third, he's done brilliantly. He's got crosses in, now he's won as a corner.
Still we await the introduction of the great Neymar. But it's not far away. Ferguson to take the corner for Scotland. Here it comes, right-footed and in-swinging. Here comes Alisson, punches away two-handed. Very decisive, good height and distance on the punch. Scotland get it back. Brazil slow to move out of the area. Delivered in high by Tierney to the back post, headed away. Drops to McGinn. McGinn swings in the delivery. McLean nods it across. Headed behind by Fabinho through a crowd for another corner.
This is all right. Keep the pressure on them. You know, we've got two crosses in there. They've had to defend it. They've been good crosses. And now an opportunity to put in again.
Well, a reminder that the Scotland goal here could potentially still be really important, even though they're 3-0 down. As would another goal conceded. It's going to be delivered in by Ferguson again from the near side of the field, into the near post, headed over the top, onto the roof of the net this time by Lawrence Shankly. And here comes the man they've been waiting for the first time since October 2023. Neymar takes to the field in a Brazil shirt, and the king of Brazilian football takes the acclaim of the crowd. His shirt being worn, his famous number 10 being worn by so many in this stadium here tonight. And Brazil's best of the best in terms of his scoring record is now on the field.
It's not really what Scotland wanted, is it? You know, they take Cunha off and bring him on. They brought Martinelli on, they bring in ability, they bring in speed, and nothing changes. Still the same problems for Scotland, but still the same hope for Scotland. You know, they've worked the ball, particularly on this left. They've done well enough to get crosses in, to win a couple of corners, and they can still get that goal that makes all the difference.
One of our colleagues from Brazil was punching the air as Neymar took to the field down in front of us. Goal in the other game in Group C, Morocco-Haiti. Here's Ian Abrahams.
12 minutes left, Morocco 3, Haiti 2. They've hit the front, finally Morocco. A corner flicked on, and there was Rahimi. One touch and turned and fired home the sub, and now Morocco on course for victory. Morocco 3, Haiti 2, live on TalkSport 2.
Sparkling footwork from Neymar, but he has it whipped off his toes by McTominay, and then McGinn is caught. Danilo, got to be careful. Right back already on a yellow card. Look towards the referee. It's another full house at the World Cup, 64,478 here in Miami tonight. But the minority in the crowd, the Scotland fans, are going to go back to their hotels on Miami Beach feeling disappointed with the way the game has gone. 3-0 down, 12 minutes plus added time to go.
They'd welcome McGinn there. I think if he's not been booked, he gets booked there. I think, you know, McGinn looks as if he's turned and he's going forward into empty space, and I think he's blocked him, he's brought him down. It's a booking.
Here is Fabinho in the centre circle. Scotland fans will now be looking ahead to a number of potential permutations and ways in which they could still qualify with 3 points in the goal difference they have. Vinicius Junior surges through, and Gunn makes a good save, plunging to his right at his near post to turn it behind. Not happy with his defenders.
Well done, Angus Gunn. A good hand, good strong hand, but you know, the ball that was slipped through, you know, it was like it was unmarked. We've got to be better on those. Around our 18-yard box, we've usually got to close up and make sure there are no gaps like that.
It is a corner to Brazil. Whipped in high towards the near post. Gunn tries to punch it away. Cleared only as far as Rayan. Rayan can't get the shot in. Locked off on the edge of the Scotland D by McGinn, and Scotland get themselves a free kick. Trailing as they do 3-0, and they're going to make a double change in a moment, Scotland. backwards to Gunn. Gunn will hammer the ball downfield. Ralston and Christie to come on for Scotland in a moment. Gunn has given the ball away.
Well, he didn't hammer the ball downfield. He dollied it into the middle of the park, you know, and gave the ball back to Brazil. You know, that's poor. You know, that's unnecessary. We either play out or Angus Gunn's going to kick it into this corner to my left-hand side in the Brazilian half.
Here come Brazil again with Rayan out on the right, hugging the touchline, gliding in field, looks for Neymar. Neymar, the number 10, nearly shuffles beyond two defenders. He looks for the pass, and Bruno Guimaraes. Neymar with his back to goal is offside. And we can bring you team news from the South Africa-South Korea game, which is live on TalkSport 2 at 2 a.m. And team news comes from Cameron Pope.
Well, South Africa have to win to stand any chance of qualifying. South Korea can take second with a draw. Burnley's Lyle Foster again starts on the bench for Bafana, as does the former Spurs man Song Hyun-min for the Koreans, as Hwang Hee-chan of Wolves comes in. South Africa versus South Korea. Scotland fans, keep an eye on this one from 2 a.m. on TalkSport 2.
It's one of the matches that Scotland fans will certainly be keeping an eye on. Here goes Rayan down the inside right. On the overlap is Danilo with a low cross, and Vinny Jr. has turned it wide from inside the 6-yard box. How was that not his hat-trick?
Terrific low ball, you know, very difficult for defenders to deal with. It's that one between the goalie and the last defender, and you know, you end up putting it in your own net. Thankfully we got away with it then, but we can't afford to play expansive football. We can't be counter-attacking up to the edge of their 18-yard line and be spread out and then try to recover to defend. We've got to keep it compact. We've got to make our way up the field as a team. We've got to pass the ball, get it into the wide men, get it into Shankland, and play off of that and build your play. Then maybe try and get in behind them, but not from the edge of your own 18-yard box. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of energy. They're going to counter against you, and they're going to score another goal.
Ralston for Patterson, Christie for Gannon, Doak for Scotland. The Brazil changes. Endrick for Rayan, and a straight swap at left back to Alexandro for Douglas Santos.
I think they're the right changes for Scotland. You know, Christie in front of the fullback. I think if he can get on the ball, he can get at them a little bit. He can run it inside. He can score a goal coming inside. He can score a goal from across from the other side when it comes from this left. He can come in at the back post or into the middle.
Good play by Kenny McLean. He's run forward 30 yards, taken out by Fabinho. That'll be a yellow card without any question at all. A cynical foul from the tall, leggy central midfield player. Clipped the heels of McLean, and it's a free kick to Scotland, right of centre, about 30 yards out, Mark McGee.
Yeah, a good opportunity. It looks just to be too far to be a shot, you know, but we've threatened at set plays in these wider positions and crosses. We've threatened from corner kicks, so this looks like probably our best route to score a goal is off one of these crosses.
Standing over the ball here is Ferguson. Plenty forward in the dark blue of Scotland. Oh, it's taken short to McGinn. McGinn with his back to goal lays it off. Good turn by Christie. Tries to get the shot in. It's cleared away. Now Scotland are on the retreat. And the ball held up on the halfway line by Ralston, who plays it square to Tierney. Tierney drives the ball cross field, high through the darkening evening sky. It's plucked out of the air elegantly by McGinn in the wing position. Taking on Alexandro. Low ball in. McTominay twisting and turning. Can he get the shot in? Very, very tight angle. Tries to pull it across. In the way is Gabriel. It's come back out to McGinn. McGinn again spinning on the turn. Back to Christie. Corner of the area. Deep cross. Shankland's there. Nods it down. Tierney on the half volley, and he can't make it. Has it whipped off his toes by the industrious Endrick, who will scamper forward to halfway, hold the play up and play a simple square ball to the feet of Neymar. Nearly, but not quite for Scotland.
Good determined play on the far side there by McTominay, and it ended up in a cross. Looked as if it might fall to Tierney, but it was one of those slow ones. It just took too long to get there, and the defender was able to intervene.
Our next live commentary on TalkSport from Group A is Czechia against Mexico. We'll get the team news in just a moment. Here come Brazil with Alexandro to Neymar. Neymar's desperate for a goal. You can see that he's everywhere, popping up all across the field. Given that free rein by Ancelotti. Danilo with the ball back to Marquinhos, wearing the captain's armband and the canary yellow of Brazil. Out on the left, hugging the touchline, Vinicius Junior scampers infield, away from Christie. Checks back out to the left. Brazil fans are enjoying this now. Martinelli a long way out. And Scotland trying to stand firm and trying to limit any further damage, but they are 3-0 down.
I'm not sure whether I want to settle for 3-0 and hope for the best, or whether to keep this going and risk losing another one in order to try and get a goal. It's very difficult to judge, because we don't know the outcomes of other games. We don't know what it would actually require. At the moment, we were talking about 2-0 not being enough. 3-0 sounds pretty terminal. I'm not sure.
Well, the next two matches in Group A live across the TalkSport network are important for Scotland fans to keep an eye on, and I'll explain why in just a moment. First, a Brazil corner drifted in by Neymar, tried to catch out the goalkeeper, and it's headed behind by Lawrence Shankland. Scotland hoping that 3 points is enough for them to qualify, and you have to take into account their goal difference as well. Of those two matches in Group A, ideally for Scotland, Czechia do not beat Mexico and South Africa do not beat Korea. As Neymar delivers high right-footed, and at the back post, the athletic bicycle kick from Gabriel thunders off a defender and out of play.
Well, again, you know, he's unmarked. You know, the defender turns and it hits him, but you know, he wasn't aware of him behind him.
Danilo ready to take another throw for Brazil. Again, they look to push forward in search of a fourth goal here in Miami. The ball is played backwards to Marquinhos. You're listening to TalkSport live from Florida here in the United States. Out on the left-hand side is Neymar, still hugging the touchline and trying to glide beyond Christie. Little jinking run by Vinicius Junior, back to the halfway line, and Martinelli shuffles across into a central area, and Scotland can't get hold of the ball at the moment. Danilo dropping in between the two centre-halves. Marquinhos square to Gabriel, and this is like a training session for Brazil at the moment. Vinicius Junior with a little touch back to Neymar. Vinicius Junior's made a run in field. Alexandro back to Gabriel. Let's get that team news. Czechia against Mexico. Watching for TalkSport, Mikey Burrows.
Czechia need a win, and they make 3 changes from last Thursday's 1-1 draw with South Africa. Patrick Schick, the man who broke Scottish hearts at Euro 2020, is amongst those dropping out. Still no starting place as well for West Ham's Thomas Souček. Mexico already through, their guaranteed top. 5 changes. New Wolves signing Raul Jimenez amongst those dropping out. Mexico v Czechia, kick-off at 2 a.m. UK time here on TalkSport.
And the other game in Group A on TalkSport 2, South Africa against South Korea. Endrick now marauding towards the edge of the D, blocked off by Tierney. It appears as though damage limitation is the Scotland approach in the final few minutes. 3-0 down. Vinicius Junior infield towards Neymar, cleared away. On the break is Christie. I say on the break, there's nobody up with him as he tries to launch a counter-attack. Everybody is deep inside the Scotland half. McGinn can clatter the ball forward here. Instead he goes backwards to Tierney once again. Scotland 0, Brazil 3. We'll go through all the permutations for Scotland in terms of that third-place league table, no doubt, after the final whistle. But at the moment, they're 6th in the table, 3 points and a -3 goal difference. That may not be enough to ensure qualification, though, because of the other teams still yet to play, and there are plenty of them over the course of the remaining games in the group stages. Double Scotland change on the way shortly. McGinn on the near side, the left. He's going to whip it across. He fizzes it high to the back post, hit down onto the turf by Ralston, the right fullback, on his left foot, and it just bounced up and easy for Addison.
I'm not sure that when they beat the last defender, he couldn't have had a touch. He's a fullback, not a striker, so I suppose we'll forgive him.
Finlay Curtis and Shea Adams coming up for Scotland off the bench shortly. A ragged Scotland here. And here come Brazil. Neymar gets the wrong side of Brian Christie, who is going to get a yellow card. And a free kick to Brazil in the left wing position. Another goal in the game between Morocco and Haiti. Ian Abrahams.
All over now. Morocco 4, Haiti 2. Rahimi didn't give up on a ball going out of play. The Haitian defenders did. He squared it. And Yassine had an easy finish from 6 yards out. Into 5 added minutes. Morocco 4, Haiti 2.
Morocco going through in Group C along with Brazil, who will win the group. Free kick Brazil. Drifted in by Neymar towards Gabriel, hooked away, comes back out to Neymar again, left corner of the penalty area, Neymar with a low shot, and in the end it's gathered by Gunn. A fizzing drive by Neymar, but Gunn handled it well.
Well, we're nervous when they're going to cross it. The last one before that, when it came to the back post, and McKenna wasn't aware of the Brazil player behind him, and he could have lost a goal. So we've got to stop the crosses. We don't allow them to get these balls into the box.
Well, Scotland fans, it is high time to look at permutations and look at potential results elsewhere. They could be helped out in Group A tonight if Czechia don't beat Mexico and if South Africa don't beat South Korea. Then that would be one group where the third place team finishes on fewer than 3 points, and there are other opportunities across the rest of the groups for Scotland as well that are going to be watching and waiting, it looks like. Shanklin goes down, fouled by Martinelli of all people. We are into 6 minutes of added time at the end of the game, and what a disappointing night for Scotland. Here come the changes.
A hugely disappointing night, but equally I think we'd all leave this building, this magnificent stadium, a lot happier if we were to nick one towards the end here in this last 6 minutes been added on, take it back to 3-1, and then we can sit here and think, yeah, we've got a good chance. 3-0 down, we don't know.
Curtis and Adams for McGinn and Shankland. Shankland, who started 2 out of the 3 group games. Adams onto the field as a substitute, having begun the other 2. Ferguson standing over a free kick for Scotland midway inside the Brazil half. He's chipped it to the left and Tierney headed away, glancing touch by Danilo. Brazil will cruise through without necessarily playing football that is out of this world. Long throw by Tierney in towards the near post. Towering header away by Fabinho, and now they counter. Neymar up towards Vinicius Junior. He can play it back towards Martinelli. Poor ball when intercepted by Ralston. Scotland dare not concede again as the referee pulls the play back for an earlier foul, and a free kick to Brazil just inside Scotland territory. 2 minutes through. 6 added here on TalkSport. Scotland 0, Brazil 3. Czechia against Mexico to come on TalkSport at 2 a.m. South Africa against South Korea will be on TalkSport 2. And at 9 o'clock tonight, Ecuador, Germany on TalkSport. Down the right-hand side goes Hendrick for Brazil, but he can't keep it in play. And 9 o'clock tonight on 2, Curaçao take on the Ivory Coast. And again, those are 2 matches that Scotland fans will be watching with great interest, because if Ecuador and Curaçao both fail to win, that would be another group, Group E, where the third place team cannot finish with more than 2 points. That would help Scotland's cause. Well, already they'll be thinking about the permutations in the stands, no doubt. Nearly halfway through added time. It is going to be a nervy few days ahead, Mark McGee.
It's going to be a nervy 1 minute ahead. You know, I think there's still the potential to lose another goal here, and we just cannot afford to lose another goal. But yeah, if it stays 3-0, we're going to have a nervy wait.
1-0 winners over Haiti, Scotland's first win at a World Cup since Italia 90. 1-0 defeat to Morocco, and 3-0 down to a not so mighty Brazil here in Miami, but a Brazil that have been effective enough. Bruno Guimaraes up the middle with a pass that is deflected into the gloves of Angus Gunn, and Scotland have it back. 2.5 minutes of added time remain. Is it going to be the last 2.5 minutes that Scotland play at the 2026 World Cup? Are they going to fall short at the group stage hurdle yet again? They have never made it to the knockout stage of a major tournament, remember.
Well, the format now allows us to sit here and think that we have some sort of chance. You know, and for the sake of those magnificent supporters over there, I hope it is the case, and for the folks at home. But, you know, what can you argue that we
On Brazil, all the build-up here on TalkSport, but let's check in. It's all over at Lords. England taking on West Indies in the Women's T20 World Cup. The details from Claire Cottingham.
England have booked themselves into a spot into the semi-finals after they beat the West Indies by 38 runs. In front of their home crowd at Lords, they remain unbeaten in the tournament and with it have broken West Indies' winning streak as well. But the West Indies finished with a flourish and a few missed chances in the field could have really derailed the host. 6 drop catches for England. England have talked a lot about being ruthless when they're in winning positions, but that just was not the case tonight. Charlie Dean, though, was the leading wicket taker with 2 wickets. Standout performances with the bat was Danny Wyatt-Hodge with a wonderful 65 and Heather Knight scoring 43. Overall, they were pretty clinical with the bat, solid with the ball, but they let a few things slip in the field. And I know coach Charlotte Edwards will be looking to improve that for the semi-finals, but the first mission has been accomplished. England on top with a game in hand.
Austria in the early hours of Sunday morning to find out if they have reached the knockout stages of a major tournament for the very first time. I think in that game, a point is enough for each of those sides to progress to the round of 32. So we will watch and wait to see what happens with some degree of interest, as we will as John McGinn speaks to Aim.
John, you gave it absolutely everything out there tonight. Can you just sum up how you're feeling right now?
Gutted, obviously. We scored goals at poor times against a team that can punish you with quality.
Switzerland and Canada, who definitely are, but who will join them, we'll find out next.
This one might be important, but you can see the lads are gutted. We fell short in quality tonight, but we gave it absolutely everything. The lads are empty now. But if what they go through, we'll have to see over the next few days, but we've given ourselves a more difficult chance. It's unlikely now, I would say, but we'll wait and see.
How tough an opponent were Brazil? You talk about the quality and they've got backs of it.
Yeah, they do, and in moments they just hurt you. They allowed us to have the ball, and at this level, if you make mistakes, this is the top level, and if you make mistakes, you get punished. And tonight, we probably get fortunate with the goal that got disallowed, but if you make mistakes at this level, you get punished. So we know we have to be better, but we just need to wait and see now.
See the reaction from the supporters when you walk over at the end. They appreciate the effort and everything that was put into tonight. And like you say, there might be one more to come, but this campaign as a whole, at this moment in time, how will it stick in the memory and see what's to come?
Well, it's a bit raw at the minute, but I appreciate the support of the fans. We know how difficult it is to be here, and hopefully the journey's not over. But they've been absolutely outstanding, and if we have to go again, we'll go again.
We wish you all the best. Hopefully we're there. Thanks, sir.
Also inside the stadium, James McFadden, we just heard him on commentary. James, what was the reaction of the Scotland fans?
Yeah, it was good.